I want you to look at something with me. This is a graduation photo. A young man in a cap and gown, smiling bigger than the sun. A woman has her arm around his shoulder. A man's hand rests proudly on his back. Two teenage girls are laughing beside him. Looks perfect, right? I have never seen any of those people in my life. But I paid every single dollar that put my son on that stage. $190,000. And nobody, not my son, not the university, not a single soul, told me the graduation was even happening. My name is Marcus Hale. I'm 65 years old. And what I'm about to tell you, I still can't believe it actually happened to me. I'm alone in my kitchen at 11 p.m. on a Tuesday. Still in my work clothes, grease on my hands from the oil rig supply company where I put in 60-hour weeks. My wife passed 3 years ago. It's just me and my teenage daughter, Sierra. Tonight, I was doing what I always do when I miss my son. I Googles the university's graduation gallery. I found the photo at 11:17 p.m. I remember the exact time because I looked at the clock right after, like my brain needed to timestamp the moment my world ended. There was Ethan, my boy, cap and gown, that big, reckless smile I've known since he was 3 years old, and 4 complete strangers hugging him like he was theirs. My phone slipped out of my hand, hit the tile floor, cracked right down the middle. I didn't even pick it up. I just stood there, reading the caption under the photo. Congratulations to our bonus son, Ethan, on graduating with honors. So proud of the man you've become. From the Monteros. Ethan, a bonus son? I'm the man who worked triple overtime for 4 straight years so his son could graduate without a single dollar of debt. I'm the man who sold his truck, the truck I drove for 11 years, to cover his first semester. I'm the man who hasn't taken a vacation since 2019. And my son had a bonus family. A whole other life. And I wasn't even invited to watch him walk across that stage. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button right now, because this story gets so much darker before it gets better. And trust me, you need to see where this ends. I called Ethan 17 times that night. Every single call, straight to voicemail. But the 18th call? Someone picked up. It wasn't Ethan. It was a woman's voice. Warm, polished, slightly confused. Hello? Ethan left his phone at the table. Can I take a message? I asked who she was. Oh, I'm Sophia Montero. Ethan is like family to us. Is everything all right? Like family. The words hit like a fist. I told her I was his father. Dead silence on her end. Then, very carefully, she said, His father? Ethan told us his father wasn't in the picture. I couldn't speak for a full 5 seconds. I asked what exactly Ethan had told them. She hesitated. I could hear noise in the background, a celebration, music, people laughing. My son's graduation party. The one I wasn't at. He said you left when he was young. That he basically raised himself. That he worked 3 jobs to pay his own tuition. My legs went out from under me. I sat down right there on my kitchen floor. 3 jobs. Working his own way through college. Meanwhile, I have the bank statements. Every transfer. Every tuition payment. Every direct deposit into his account. $1,600 a month for 4 years. My son had told an entire family I didn't exist, while spending my money to fund the lie. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I hung up the phone very quietly, walked to my filing cabinet, and pulled out every bank statement from the last 4 years. And then I started doing the math. The total on my calculator, $190,400. But when I pulled up Ethan's social media, I saw something that turned my blood to ice. Photos of a lifestyle that had nothing to do with the tight budget I thought he was living on. Spring break in the Azores. A brand new MacBook. Designer sneakers. Restaurant dinners that cost more than my weekly grocery bill. Every holiday for 4 years. Ethan told me he was staying on campus to study. Couldn't make it home for Christmas. Too busy. Too far. Too tired. But there on Sophia Montero's public page. Ethan at their Thanksgiving table, carving the turkey. Ethan on their boat, laughing with their 2 daughters. Ethan in a Christmas sweater, opening gifts in their living room. Every single holiday I sat across an empty chair at my table. My son was at theirs. And then I saw it. A photo of Ethan wearing a watch. A Breitling Navitimer. I know because I'd looked at it online when shopping for his graduation gift. the one I never got to give him. It retails for $4,200. Sophia's caption: early graduation gift for our brilliant boy. You deserve the absolute world. I had just sold my late wife's jewelry to make his final tuition payment. I put my phone face down on the table. I walked to Sierra's room. She was asleep. 16 years old. Still has a photo of her and Ethan on her nightstand from when she was 7. He's giving her a piggyback ride. They're both laughing. I stood in the doorway for a long time. Then I went back to the kitchen and made a decision. I will drive to Ethan's apartment in the morning. When I got there, I put my key in the lock. It didn't turn. He had changed the locks. And when the door finally opened, the look on my son's face wasn't guilt. It was irritation. He opened the door but didn't step aside. Filled the whole frame with his body, like I was a salesman. A stranger. An inconvenience. Dad, what are you doing here? Not Dad, I'm sorry. Not Dad, we need to talk. Just, what are you doing here? I told him I saw the graduation photos. I told him I spoke to Sophia Montero. I told him I wanted to understand. He leaned against the doorframe, looked past me like he was checking if anyone in the parking lot was watching, and said, "You're embarrassing yourself. Just go home." I asked him why he lied to those people, why he told them I abandoned him. And he said something I'll never, in the rest of my life, unhear. Because for all practical purposes, you did. You were a paycheck, Dad. Not a parent. The Monteros actually showed up for me. You just wrote checks. Then he stepped back inside. Locked the door. I stood on that porch for 11 minutes. I counted every one. On the drive home, I stopped crying at around mile 40. By mile 60, something had shifted inside me. Not anger, something colder. Quieter. My son wanted to play this game? Fine. I'd spent 4 years being a ghost in my own son's story. It was time to become very, very real. I called my attorney, James, first thing Monday morning. When I walked him through the numbers, he went completely silent. Then he said 4 words that changed everything. Marcus, this is fraud. James has been my attorney since I bought my house in 2009. He's the kind of man who chooses his words like he's paying for each one. So when he said fraud, I listened. The Parent Plus loans are in your name. Ethan applied for financial aid claiming he had no family support. He accepted your monthly deposits while representing himself to another family as financially abandoned. That is misrepresentation on multiple fronts. We drafted a formal letter. Not a lawsuit, not yet. An invoice. $190,400 line by line. Tuition. Rent. Monthly deposits. Textbooks. The laptop. The health insurance I kept him on until he turned 24. With one condition. Acknowledge in writing that I provided this support. Or return the money. One last chance to tell the truth. Then, the night before the letter was delivered, Sierra came into my room crying so hard she could barely speak. She showed me her phone. Ethan had blocked her everywhere. Every platform. When she reached out through a friend's account, he responded, "I'm building a new life with people who actually support me. Stop contacting me." Sierra had saved her babysitting money to send him care packages every semester. Hand-decorated boxes. His favorite snacks. Little notes she wrote herself. She started doing that when she was 12 years old. She looked up at me and asked, "Daddy, what did I do wrong?" I held my daughter and felt something I hadn't felt since I buried her mother. And I told James, skip the invoice. Send the lawsuit. 48 hours later, a response arrived. But it didn't come from Ethan. It came from a lawyer. And the letter threatened me with a restraining order. Ethan's lawyer's letter said that any support I provided was a parent's basic legal obligation, and that Ethan owes nothing legally or morally for choosing to fulfill my parental duties. It also called my visit to his apartment harassment of his chosen family. His chosen family. I read that letter 3 times. Then I called James and said 2 words. File it. We sued for $95,000, the Parent Plus loans, legally in my name, taken based on Ethan's false claims of financial need. The lawsuit became public record. A local news station picked it up within 72 hours. The headline: Father sues son after being replaced by restaurant family at graduation he funded. Within 48 hours, 14 million views. And the Montero's restaurant started getting flooded with one-star reviews from strangers who had no idea Sophia was just as much a victim as I was. That part made me sick. So when Sophia messaged me asking to meet, I said yes immediately. She sat down across from me, put her phone on the table, and said, "I need to show you what Ethan told me about you. And I need you to brace yourself, because some of it is really bad, Marcus." Sophia pulled up text messages between her and Ethan going back 3 years. Stories she had believed completely. That I missed his high school graduation because I chose work over him. I was in the front row. I have the photo on my fridge. That I forgot his birthday multiple times. I have 4 years of birthday cards sent with tracking numbers, signed receipts. That I called him a burden after his mother died. I have no words for this one. That I once told him, "You're on your own now. Figure it out." What I actually said the night before he left for college. "I've got you. Every step. I promise." Sophia's hands were shaking as she scrolled. He was so convincing. He cried when he told us some of these. Real tears. I never doubted him for a second. She looked up at me and said something I think about every single day. "He didn't just steal your place in his life, Marcus. He built a whole museum of fake memories to justify it. And we were the audience." By the end of that 2-hour conversation, Sophia and I were not enemies. We were two people who had loved the same young man, and been used by him in completely different ways. She agreed to testify truthfully if it came to trial. It came to trial. 2 weeks before the court date, something happened that none of us expected. Sierra, my 16-year-old daughter who never once complained, wrote a letter directly to the judge. Without telling me, I found out about the letter when James called me, voice strange and tight. "Marcus, your daughter contacted the court. Her letter has been accepted as a victim impact statement. You need to read it before the trial." He read it to me over the phone. Sierra gave me permission to share it. Here is part of what she wrote. "My dad worked every holiday for 4 years. He never complained, not once. He sold his truck. He sold my mom's jewelry. He skipped his own doctor appointments so there would be money for textbooks. My brother called home maybe once a month, usually to ask for more money. Then he'd disappear again for weeks. I used to save my babysitting money to send Ethan care packages. I thought he was lonely. I thought he needed us. I know now he wasn't lonely at all. My dad told me not to take it personally. That Ethan was just busy. He protected Ethan from my feelings for 4 years. The day Ethan blocked me, I cried for 6 hours. My dad held me and didn't say a single bad word about his son. My brother taught me that love is a choice. My dad chose to love him unconditionally for 22 years. My brother chose to love only when it was convenient. I choose my dad. The courtroom was completely silent when James finished reading it aloud. I looked at Ethan across the room. For the first time in this entire nightmare, his face cracked. The judge called a recess after Sierra's letter. When we came back, Ethan stood up and said something on the record that made his own attorney close his eyes. His exact words on the record. "I don't owe my father anything. He's trying to purchase my love through a lawsuit because I chose a family that actually made me feel valued. That's not fraud. That's just life." You could hear people in the gallery exhale. James leaned over and whispered, "He just handed us the case." Sophia testified for 40 minutes. She was precise, credible, and visibly ashamed, not of herself, but of what she'd unwittingly participated in. She confirmed every lie. Every holiday. Every expensive gift given to a young man she believed was struggling. The judge took 3 days. When she returned, she was brief and exact. Ethan must repay $60,000 of the Parent Plus loans over 8 years. He must issue a written factual correction acknowledging that I provided full financial support throughout his college career. Her closing words. An adult child is free to choose their relationships. They are not free to fund those choices through fraud and misrepresentation. The defendant accepted substantial support while deliberately constructing a false narrative. That is not independence. That is exploitation. On the courthouse steps, Ethan stopped me. "Happy now? You destroyed everything." I looked at him for a long moment. "I didn't destroy anything, Ethan. I just stopped pretending I hadn't been robbed." Then I walked to my car and drove home. 8 months later. Cold Wednesday evening. My doorbell rings. I looked through the peephole, and I stopped breathing. It was Ethan. 3 job offers rescinded after background checks revealed the lawsuit. 14 applications rejected. His engineering degree, the one I sacrificed everything for, sitting unused while he works retail just to cover rent. The Monteros had blocked him on everything after their daughters learned the full truth. His college friends stopped answering. He'd moved cities twice, but the internet follows him. He stood on my porch in a shabby coat, looking like he'd aged a decade. When I finally opened the door, he looked at me with hollow eyes and said just one word. Dad. Not I'm sorry. Not I need help. Just Dad. Like a kid who'd been lost for a very long time and finally found the right street. I stepped aside and let him in. He sat on the couch where he used to watch cartoons. Sierra appeared in the doorway. They looked at each other across 4 years of silence. Ethan pulled an envelope from his jacket. A check for $4,200. I sold the watch. It's not enough. I know it's not enough. But I needed you to see that I know what I owe you. Not just money. Everything. And I was so entitled and so scared that I burned the only people in my life who never had a price tag on their love. He broke down completely. No dignity left, and clearly not asking for any. Sierra walked across the room and sat beside him. She didn't hug him. She just sat there, close enough to let him know she was still there. I stood in the kitchen doorway and looked at these 2 people who are the reason I got up every morning for 23 years. Forgiveness isn't pretending nothing happened. It isn't handing someone your trust back the moment they ask for it. But maybe it's opening a door. Even a little. Even with one hand still on the frame. You can stay for dinner, I told him. Just dinner. Tomorrow we start at 0 and build from there. Not from where we were. Something new. Something honest. He nodded. Said thank you twice. I turned on the stove. And for the first time in 2 years, the house didn't feel empty. If you made it to this moment, you felt every single chapter of this, didn't you? Drop a word in the comments. I want to see how many of you made it all the way to that doorbell. If you know someone who has sacrificed everything for a child who took it for granted, share this with them. Not to be cruel, but because they deserve to know they're not alone. Hit that like button if you believe what Sierra wrote. Love is a choice. And subscribe button, because every day we go even deeper into a story that will make this one look like a warm-up. I'll see you there.